Okay, if you haven't figured out, today we're going to be doing noses. There's many different materials you can use for noses, and I've got some samples right here, and there's many more ideas. These are just scratching the surface to give you ideas of stuff you can find around the place and use for noses. Okay, so number one is using scraps of foam and tucking and gluing it and making. So this is a flat sheet of foam that I used here, and what I did, so as an example like this, and I tucked it in and tucked it in until I got a shape that I liked, and then I glue behind and it would hopefully stay in spot and I'd have a nose. Okay, now you could paint this or dye it and then you'd have a colored nose. You could paint it. It's just foam, plain old sheet foam. You can also get a larger piece and carve out a round nose with a pair of scissors. So you would cut your shape out, circular, and then you would gently trim and trim and trim like I did here for this nose. Again. And this is actually a carved nose, and I carved it, and then I used a method with the Dremel tool, which I can show at some point on how to do it. But I got it nice and smooth and all that sort of stuff. Okay? Okay. So this method is the tuck method, and like I said, it works great. Just have to tuck and play around with it and get the right and all that sort of stuff, the right shape that you want. Okay, you can even add nostrils like I did right here, a little bit of nostrils on the bottom. The other which is a cork, which you can carve or shape, and it makes a nice hard nose, and you can cover it with fabric. Back to our trusty old scraps of fleece, and if I covered that and glued it down, like I said, I could carve it and round the edges a little more, but there we go, we've got a nose that I could use. Okay, so again, something you find around. They come in different sizes, sometimes in different shapes. They have the big kind of mushroom look to them sometimes, and that would make a great nose. Pom-Poms, can use pom-poms. Not my first suggestion, but it can be used. I have used pom-poms before, but nothing I have handy. More for kids projects and that, or something very simple, but they can be used. Okay. I also use, you can buy these at Michael's or in wood crafting stores. They're just round balls. Usually they're cut, sometimes they're cut in half, more than this, or a little bit, or they're fully round. And again, I cover them with a piece of fleece and glue them on. Okay? And you can make a lot of different size noses out of them, and they're pretty accessible, pretty cheap to buy. And this is a styrofoam ball. Again, I don't encourage styrofoam because you have to be really, really, really careful with it being flattened or damaged. Yes, that's right, Naughty. You can also use the eyes for eyeballs if you paint them white. But I like them for noses. But yeah, you can definitely switch up, and they come in very different sizes. So here again, you would cover it, glue it down. There's a nose, but again, very delicate, can be crushed, flattened very easily. Not a long-term based puppet. These are called cover buttons, and they come apart, and you put material around them. You can buy these in your fabric shops where they sell fabric. They come in, again, different sizes. I'll just show you this one if I can get it off. Yes, that's right. Lundygrass has said that you could unwrap almost any type, or unwrap, you can wrap up almost any type of bottle cap. Absolutely, great suggestion. Which I talked about eyes and forgot to mention it. So a water bottle cap or anything like that you could cover up. So these are like little buttons, and you can cover them up. And you put the back, this piece is way too big, but it'll actually hook on. There's little teeth on here if you notice. It'll grab the fabric, and then you put the backing over, and it keeps them in place, the fabric, and it locks it into place. And then you could just sew the nose on or glue it. Clip the wire off and just glue it. It's up to you. Okay? Again, different sizes. They're not very expensive, and you get about, what, 5 or 6 in a pack. So not too bad for $1.75 Canadian, which is way cheaper for our American friends. This is, again, a novelty nose from, toy shops, toy kits, that I could easily possibly use as a comedy bit on a puppet. Definitely could use that. This is actually, I'll show you this. Frankie, I decided to use these buttons for his nose. So that's the effect of the nose for those buttons. And I actually, if I'm correct, I sewed it on very tightly. Okay, the other thing, this is the wooden one that I was talking about earlier. This is what I used for his nose. I covered it with fabric, and then I painted it. So it's basically this style of nose, the wooden one with the flat side. And I just painted it darker to make it stand out a bit more. Okay? Okay, and here are, I also buy, little toys with round balls, like the ball toy stuff. If they're a bit bigger than what I can find, they're light. It's a plastic ball. This is the eyeballs I was showing you earlier, or in another video for eyeballs. But if you turn them around, you can use them for eyeballs. Turn them and cover them with fabric and glue them on. They're nice and light compared to the wood. And